Today I'm hiding out in my car that I got recently. Don't ask why I'm hiding, I'll talk about it later. But it does feel nice to have my own car, and it kind of reminds me of my favorite franchise of all time, and the imminence of change and the need to accept it while still remembering the past. No particular reason though, it just kind of happens sometimes while driving to work at quarter to 10 p.m. every other night or so. I'm fine, I promise. The passage of time marches ever onward, and with it comes the unavoidable truth that we eventually must get a new Mario Kart game. And it must come with new retro tracks. I highlighted retro tracks specifically because it's the topic of this video. More than anything else that could be predicted about a new Mario Kart entry, I think that the retro tracks have become the one that everyone likes to predict because it's easier than the other stuff. And while I don't necessarily disagree, it's certainly not an easy task by any means. So I'm going down a slightly different route to try and spice things up in a way that no one else in the Mario Kart community has done before. At least, I think. I could be wrong. Well, let's just get into it. The format of this prediction is going to be a bingo card. I know that's not exactly the most insane thing ever, but I thought it would be fun, and I haven't seen anyone else doing it, so I'm taking this opportunity while I still can, and I get the opportunity to fill it up with as many gimmicks as humanly possible first, so that way no one else can have that title. Obviously, the goal of bingo is to get a bingo. I highly doubt I need to explain how bingo works. But much like with bingo, the card will be randomly generated to be filled up with my predictions instead of random numbers ranging from 1 to 75. To counteract this randomness a bit, I will give myself a guaranteed free space in the middle of the board for the most likely track out of all of them, and I will give myself opportunities for bonus marks. I'll highlight them throughout the video as they come up, but if I not only correctly predict the track to return, but also predict something else about the track, generally where and in which particular cup it will be, then I will get an additional spot marked off, albeit one that is randomly chosen. If I got to choose, that would be absolutely broken. We're here to add stakes after all. But now let's get into one of the biggest parts of the video. Which tracks are on the table in the first place? One of the biggest discussions in the Mario Kart community is which tracks are even on the table to be brought back in the next game in the first place. Obviously, tracks that haven't been brought back in any future Mario Kart game, except Super Circuit, are on the table. But what about the tracks that came back in Tour but nowhere else? Are the retros that appeared in Mario Kart DS but not in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the table? What about the Mario Kart Wii retros? The Mario Kart 7 retros? The original 16 tracks from the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8 are definitely on the table. But what about the tracks that originated in the DLC editions of Mario Kart 8 that became part of the base version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? And are these 6 bozos available too? What would their prefix be? What's the deal with Piranha Plant Pipeline? So yeah, there's a lot of questions to be asked when it comes down to it. But what do I think? I don't know, I'm not Nintendo, but for this specific video, I'm gonna go down a more pessimistic route and limit my choices more than most would. Believe me, I want to see a lot of these cool tracks come back again, but I'm not certain that they will, and there's already enough cool tracks to bring back from what hasn't been brought back yet. So I'll be limiting my choices to the tracks that haven't been brought back from previous games yet, which includes the original 16 tracks introduced in Mario Kart 8 and Piranha Plant Pipeline, but not any DLC tracks, and the tracks that were only brought back in Mario Kart Tour. Sorry to all the Koopa Beach 2, Desert Hills, Luigi Raceway, Ice Ice Outpost, and Sky High Sundae fans out there. And because I have so few options to work with due to this limitation, I will be assuming that we will have 4 cups, Shell, Banana, Leaf, and Lightning, instead of the 6 that most people predict. If we were to get 6 cups with 2 new ones to be placed somewhere, I anticipate them being on both sides of the Leaf Cup, and this will become important very soon. But with all that out of the way, let's finally ask our first question. Which track goes in the middle? Which track is the most guaranteed inclusion in all of Mario Kart history? Well, I think you might know which one it is. Yeah, it's N64 Wario Stadium, how surprising. As the only track from Mario Kart 64 remaining to be remade and without the option to bring back other tracks from that game, it quite literally had to be here. And even if I did allow myself to bring back other tracks from this game, I still think Wario Stadium would make it here because it hasn't been brought back yet. Tracks that haven't been brought back yet generally seem to be a priority even with other options available, as the DLC for Mario Kart 8 and the Booster Course Pass show. It is also considered one of, if not the worst tracks in the entirety of Mario Kart 64. Although I personally think the ice tracks are worse, I also don't think it's great. That means it has plenty of room for a remake to do a lot to improve it. But we also have our first bonus mark of the video, and that is for this track's placement. I believe that Wario Stadium will be the second track of the Lead Cup. This is because Wario Stadium is the first track of Mario Kart 64 Star Cup, And when we look at Mario Kart 7's and Mario Kart 8's Leaf Cups, we see DK Pass and Sherbet Land, the first track of the Star Cup for Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Double Dash respectively, as those Cups' second tracks. I know it looks like Snowland, a track that's already been brought back, has been skipped by this pattern, but it's the second track of the Propeller Cup, the fourth cup of the first half of the Booster Course Pass. And when you look at how I anticipate a 6-cup lineup looking, the Propeller Cup lines up perfectly with the Leaf Cup. Yes, I fully understand that this is the reach of the century here, but this is the part of the selection where the actual logic doesn't matter as much and any single thread of possibility is good enough. It's literally just an extra bonus for me to have if I'm extremely intelligent, skilled, and attractive. So yeah, the middle spot goes to N64 Wario Stadium, with a bonus mark if it is a Leaf 2. Or what could possibly be the second most guaranteed track of them all. We have yet another no-brainer with Piranha Plant Pipeline from Mario Kart Tour. As the only track new to that game to not be featured in the Booster Course Pass, it's been highly theorized that it's bound to come back, unless Nintendo decides to go down the same route as it did with its inspiration, and leave it inaccessible to the general public with no chance of it ever returning. However, I don't think that this is going to happen, and it comes down to the bonus mark that I'm putting with it. Its label. This will be the only bonus mark that doesn't come down to its placement, by the way, just a heads up on that. But I think that Piranha Plant Pipeline will be considered a Tour retro track, which is a bit of a contested opinion. Many people think that it will be considered a Nitro track, like the other 6 prefixless tracks that were introduced in either Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Mario Kart Tour. However, I think that choice was mostly because the entire life cycle of Mario Kart Tour's new content fell within the lifespan of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe being the most recent game except for it. Plus, we still have the Tour label for the city tracks that is now left unfilled thanks to the rest of the Tour tracks being gone. Because of this, I believe that Piranha Plant Pipeline will return the next game, and it has a bonus mark if it comes back as a retro track with the Tour label. But now I'd like to go on a brief detour to talk about one track type in particular, and get it out of the way to make several of my other predictions much easier to talk about. I think it's surprising to see that Rainbow Road had to get its own segment here. It's always been one of, if not the most popular track type ever, and recently Nintendo's been noticing that since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a grand total of 4 retro Rainbow Roads in its entirety. With how many there are here, it seems extremely likely that we get another in the next game, but with that claim comes the question, which one will it be? We have 4 options here, the one from Mario Kart Super Circuit, the one from Mario Kart Double Dash, the one from Mario Kart DS, and the one from Mario Kart 8. I think it's safe to say that the one from Mario Kart 8 won't be seeing a return. It's far and away one of, if not the least liked Rainbow Roads there is. And with all the Nitro tracks from that game on the table, I don't think it wise to remove a potential option from the other 3 games with significantly fewer options. But which of the remaining 3 tracks is it gonna be? Well, I think the most likely answer here is GBA Rainbow Road, and I think it comes down to 2 key deciding factors. The first is that it has far and away the most potential for a remake. GCN and DS have some. The former could be shorter and would benefit from a tighter control system, while the latter could be harder and wouldn't have as much jank on it considering anti-gravity is very likely to return. But neither of those two compare to the potential that GBA has. Nintendo has shown their hand when it comes to making the flat GBA courses, and also SNES Bowser Castle 3, feel like modern tracks with their elevation changes and implementation of anti-gravity. Sometimes. This kind of track redesign combined with GBA Rainbow Road's unique bouncy edges has me so excited for what this track could become, far more than the other 2 would be. The second reason does come down to patterns. Mario Kart 7 gave us SNES Rainbow Road, and Mario Kart 8 gave us N64 Rainbow Road, so it would make sense for the next game to give us the next Rainbow Road, that being GBA Rainbow Road. Some people argue that DS should actually be next, because the pattern has now flipped with 3DS and Wii coming back in the BCP in that order, but I think this pattern falls apart because of their DLC status. There's a reason that these 2, the most recent ones available, and the one that had already been brought back, were added as DLC. I think Nintendo wants these tracks to feel like special additions to the retro selections they're coming back in, which feeds right back into my first point. So yeah, I believe GBA Rainbow Road will return, and will have a bonus mark for being in Lightning 4, because of course it will be there, where else would they put it? But this choice does have implications for the rest of my choices, which we will begin to see right now. Wait. When did DS have so few tracks to pick from? What happened? Oh, that's right. Man, we really should have saved Shroomridge instead of bringing it back into BCP and forgoing Airship Fortress or something. Whatever. We're here now, and we have 3 DS tracks available for this list. The starting track, and the last 2 tracks with versions in every single game. With GBA Rainbow Road already selected, that effectively guarantees that DS Rainbow Road won't be there, so that leaves Figure 8 Circuit and Bowser Castle. I don't think we're getting both of these tracks because that feels wasteful of what little we have left, and I don't think we're just getting Figure 8 Circuit because that's incredibly boring and disrespectful of Mario Kart DS. So that leaves just bringing back Bowser Castle, and I think that's far and away the best option out of all of them. This version of Bowser Castle is one of my favorites, and I'd love to see it remade in a modern Mario Kart game. So yeah, I predict DS Bowser Castle will return, and I'll give it a bonus mark for returning in Lightning 3, because that will make a lot of sense for it. There is another spot where it could return, but I'll talk about why I think it'll be here instead of there right now. Alright, here's where things really start to get interesting. Mario Kart Double Dash has 4 tracks to pick from, one of them is practically guaranteed to return, one is practically guaranteed to not, and the other 2 both have valid reasons for each to return. Starting from the beginning, we have Mushroom City, and yeah, it makes perfect sense. There aren't a ton of traffic courses left to bring back, looking at Shroom Ridge, and Mushroom City is widely regarded as one of the best because of its alternate routes. Also for a bonus mark, I predict it to be the first track of the Lightning Cup because it is the second track of its game Star Cups, which has been a trend since Mario Kart 7 with Wii Koopa Cape and Mario Kart 8 with DS TikTok Clock. It even follows the pattern going backwards from Wii to DS to GCN. On the other hand, we have our final major competitor of Rainbow Road of this video, which I've already covered, and I don't think it has a chance of returning. But that leaves the other 2, and which of these is coming back is honestly a bit of a coin flip. Mario Coliseum and Bowser's Castle. Both of these tracks have a good amount of overlap with another track already on the bingo card, which is a lot more likely, those being N64 Wario Stadium and DS Bowser Castle respectively. In general, I've seen most people pick Wario Coliseum because it has less visual overlap and more potential for a remake than Bowser's Castle, but I'm going to go against the grain and say that Bowser's Castle is more likely for several reasons. If we have Wario Coliseum, then that leaves both Bowser's Castle and Rainbow Road for the next game, and I don't think it would make for good representation to have those 2 tracks in a single retro selection. In addition, while GCN Bowser's Castle and DS Bowser Castle have thematic overlap, I think they have a lot more gameplay differences than N64 Wario Stadium and GCN Wario Coliseum, which is more important than thematic differences, in my opinion at least. And in general, Bowser Castle tracks have a lot more tracks to be remade than Wario tracks. And with Mushroom City, another Mario Kart Double Dash track in the Lightning Cup, and Wario Stadium in the Leaf Cup, I don't really have a good place to put Wario Coliseum aside from the Banana Cup, and I don't really think it makes sense there, as compared to Bowser's Castle, which can fit perfectly as the final track of the Leaf Cup, opposite the Lightning Cup's Mushroom City and DS Bowser Castle. And also, GCN Bowser's Castle is really good, and Wario Coliseum is actually awful, and I hate it. So yeah, I think GCN Bowser's Castle will return with a bonus mark if it appears in Leaf 4, because that's the only other spot I think a Bowser's Castle track could be in, and GCN Mushroom City will return with a bonus mark if it appears in Lightning 1. With that out of the way, let's do something a bit easier to work out. We only have 5 tracks to bring back. Yep, that's how. You probably could have gotten away with not having Moonview Highway in the BCP too. Wait, why are all my suggestions getting rid of the traffic courses? Whatever, we'll have a generally easier time with this selection. Luigi Circuit, Toad's Factory, Mario Circuit, Drydoor Ruins, and Bowser's Castle are the 5 tracks to pick from. I think Toad's Factory is one of the easiest decisions to include ever because of its popularity and its legacy of dodging being brought back up until this point. And with 2 other Bowser Castle tracks already picked out, I can essentially guarantee that Wii's Bowser Castle won't be joining them. I don't think we'll be getting more than 2 tracks out of the selection, and because getting one of these 2 circuits out of the way is a way higher priority, and because we have options for a desert track coming later, I don't think Drydoor Ruins has room here either. So now we're left with Luigi Circuit and Mario Circuit. One will return, and one will not. However, looking at recent retro selections shows that Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8 had 1 Mario Circuit and 1 non-Mario Circuit each, and looking at the rest of our selections, we have plenty of Mario Circuits and no other circuits to pick from. So I think Luigi Circuit is the more likely of the 2 to return. So yeah, we have Wii Luigi Circuit with a bonus mark if it is Shell 2, because I don't think it'll be the starter of the Shell Cup and I don't really have anywhere else to put it. And we have Wii Toad's Factory with a bonus mark if it is in Banana 1, because that also makes the most sense to me, especially after we get some more tracks picked out. Super Circuit already has a track picked out thanks to Rainbow Road, so that leaves only 1 spot remaining from the following 5 tracks: Cheep Cheep Island, Yoshi Desert, Lakeside Park, Broken Pier, and Bowser Castle 4. I think it goes without saying that Bowser Castle 4 isn't on the table because of the other 2 Bowser Castle tracks on here, although it does hurt to get rid of this one due to its amazing redesign and tour. And between the other 4 tracks remaining, I think the 2 most likely to come back are Yoshi Desert and Lakeside Park. I think their tour remakes, much like Bowser Castle 4's, are really good, and they fit best in the Banana Cup, which is the spot I think a GBA track should go in so they can alternate with 2 SNES tracks. However, I still think there's a possibility that we get a GBA track in the latter part of the Shell Cup, and if we do, then I think the only option would be Cheep Cheep Island, because it's the simplest out of the bunch, especially in its tour remake. So my bingo card will be filled out with Cheep Cheep Island, with a bonus mark if it is the 3rd track of the Shell Cup, Yoshi Desert with a bonus mark if it is the 2nd track of the Banana Cup, and Lakeside Park with a bonus mark if it is in the 4th track of the Banana Cup, along with Rainbow Road and Lightning 4 as I said before. It seems random, but trust me, I have a plan, as we'll see starting right now. Alright, here's where things get really interesting. Mario Kart 7 has room for 2 tracks out of 8 possibilities. Daisy Hills, Cheep Cheep Lagoon, Shy Guy Bazaar, Woohoo Loop, Mario Circuit, Wario Shipyard, Maka Woohoo, and Bowser's Castle. I don't think I need to explain why yet another Bowser's Castle won't be on here, and I don't think Cheep Cheep Lagoon is much of a shot either due to its lameness and replaceability. We have plenty of other water-based tracks to use over this one after all. The same goes for Daisy Hills, I just don't really see it having much of a place anywhere. But now we get to a bit of a controversial take on my part. I don't think Maka Woohoo has much of a shot as well. I just don't think there's a good place for it, and I think the other tracks have much better reasons to be in the next game, and that includes Woohoo Loop, a track that Maka Woohoo shares its music with. I think Woohoo Loop could be a great closer for the Shell Cup, as compared to Maka Woohoo, where none of the places I have left feel like a good fit for it. The general trend seems to be putting it in Lightning 3, but having a 3-part track before Rainbow Road just feels off to me, I don't know. On another note, we could see Wario Shipyard take home in the Leaf Cup, provided there's room for it because I'm not entirely certain on where Piranha Plant Pipeline would be. I'm not the most confident Wario Shipyard would be here, especially because we already have N64 Wario Stadium, but it does have a decent chance to show up because of its recent resurgence in the wider community, and the lack of another semi-spooky track as of yet. However, a track that really surprised me with its likeliness is Mario Circuit. It's one of, if not the best Mario Circuit the franchise has ever seen, and without too many other options to pick from for Mario Circuits, this could be the one to go with here, with a nice spot in the Banana Cup for it as well. As far as Shy Guy Bazaar goes, it's very well known for its repeated exclusions from Mario Kart 8, much like Toad's Factory, and it's super flexible, with room for it in the Shell Cup if Mario Circuit makes it in, or the Banana Cup if Woohoo Loop makes it in, meaning it will be one of very few tracks without a bonus mark on it. So yeah, my slots for 3DS Retros are Shy Guy Bazaar, Woohoo Loop with a bonus mark if it is Shell 4, Mario Circuit with a bonus mark if it is Banana 3, and Wario Shipyard with a bonus mark if it is Leaf 3. Super Mario Kart. There's certainly a lot of options here. However, I think one of the Vanilla Lakes is guaranteed for obvious reasons. It's the only track theme to never get remade outside of Tour at this point, and I think the potential for underwater driving would make these awful tracks at least mildly interesting. I think that Vanilla Lake 1 is slightly more likely because the center would be much less of a hassle to work around, but both of them are very likely, and I think the beginning of the Leaf Cup is the perfect place for one of the 2 to go. As far as other options go, we still have another Mario Circuit and Mario Circuit 4, which does have a decent shot to be in the 3rd slot of the Banana Cup instead of 3DS Mario Circuit. And finally, we have the more likely options of what happens if a SNES track ends up in the Shell Cup. And I think the most likely option if that happens is Choco Island 1, taking the 3rd slot of the cup if it makes it in. So yeah, my bingo card has Choco Island 1 with a bonus mark if it is Shell 3, Mario Circuit 4 with a bonus mark if it is Banana 3, and Vanilla Lake 1 and Vanilla Lake 2, each with a bonus mark if they are in Leaf 1. Now we have the big one, Mario Kart 8's original 16 tracks. I'm not covering every single track here, but I'll get enough to fill out the rest of my bingo card, which is... hang on, I'm counting. 6 tracks. Yeah, that should be good with the 3 slots I have to work with. Astute viewers might have noticed that we are currently missing a track to start off the Shell Cup, and that spot is being filled in right now with a bit of a peculiar choice to some people, Waterpark. I certainly wasn't expecting it to be here either. It's actually my least favorite track of the original 16 Mario Kart 8 tracks, but the more that I thought about it, the more sense it made. See, something I haven't actually mentioned yet, and I promise this will be important, is that I think this hypothetical future game will be called Mario Kart 10, or Mario Kart X or something like that. The point is, it'll be considered the 10th entry. We have Mario Kart Tour as the 9th entry, and we know it's considered a mainline entry because of its representation in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Look at all the city tracks with their tour label, it's Piranha Plant Pipeline all over again. The reason that matters is because the retros have had an interesting little pattern with their Shell 1 tracks, and it varies based on whether the entry is an odd-numbered entry or an even-numbered entry. The odd-numbered entries have had tracks that were the first of their original game's Mushroom Cups start off their Shell Cups. Mario Kart DS had SNES Mario Circuit 1, and Mario Kart 7 had N64 Luigi Raceway. While the even-numbered entries had tracks that were the second of their original game's Mushroom Cups start off their Shell Cups. Mario Kart Wii had GCN Peach Beach, and Mario Kart 8 had Wii Moo Moo Meadows. Mario Kart Tour doesn't have a traditional Shell Cup, but it does still have a first track that you play to learn the controls, and that track is 3DS Toad Circuit, which lines up perfectly as the first track of a Mushroom Cup, starting off the retro selection of the 9th entry in the franchise. As for this 10th entry, Water Park fills in the pattern as the second track of its Mushroom Cup, but also fills in another related pattern of being from the game 2 games prior. GCN Peach Beach was 2 games prior to Mario Kart Wii, Wii Moo Moo Meadows was 2 games prior to Mario Kart 8, and now Water Park will be 2 games prior to this new 10th entry. Alright, that took a while. What else do we have? Well, we still potentially have room for a track in the Banana Cup or the Leaf Cup, and as for what could go there, we have several options. Sweet Sweet Canyon has frequently been cited as a great candidate for the next game because while it's well liked enough and closing in on being a good track with a great theme, it just doesn't quite hit well enough, with the most common culprit being Mario Kart 8's visual style. A remake in a future game could work wonders for the track and allow it to truly live up to its potential. On a similar note, Sunshine Airport was hyped up in the beginning of Mario Kart 8's lifespan, but generally died down because of some hard gameplay, but a remake could really flesh it out in that department. Furthermore, Twisted Mansion would be an interesting choice as an unexpected spooky track, a theme currently mostly unrepresented in this selection, and Electrodrome is another popular track that could fit right at home in the middle of the Leaf Cup. And finally, with room left in the Lightning Cup for one final track, I expect Cloud Top Cruise to reach its potential as an incredible yet dangerous journey throughout the skies. I mean, you fly through a storm where you have to dodge lightning, it'd be a perfect fit for the Lightning Cup. So yeah. My final slots in my bingo card are Water Park with the bonus mark if it is in Shell 1, Sweet Sweet Canyon with a bonus mark if it is in Banana 2, Twisted Mansion, Sunshine Airport with a bonus mark if it is in Banana 4, Electrodrome with a bonus mark if it is in Leaf 3, and Cloud Top Cruise with a bonus mark if it is in Lightning 2. Alright, that's all the tracks. Now let's fill out the bingo card. As you can see along the side here, all of the tracks except N64 Mario Stadium have a number. I'm going to pull up a random number generator and fill out the board from left to right and top to bottom. Way too long. But yeah, here is my bingo card for the next Mario Kart games retro selections. Immediate thoughts: I'm so mad about this diagonal from the top left to bottom right. Would have been literally perfect if we didn't have both of the SNES Vanilla Lakes there. I'm so sad about that. I've given up all hope on the B column. I don't think that's happening. Bottom row probably isn't happening. It might actually, but I'm not very confident. The I column looks very promising. I feel very confident about that, but it is a bit of a 50-50. O column isn't bad either. I'm a little worried about Mario Circuit 4 and Shy Guy Bazaar, but we managed to lock those two and I feel pretty confident about those. Actually, G's not that bad either. The one I'm most worried about, or the Electrodrome Lakeside Park, but it's not too bad. N is also a bit of a lost cause too, and that really sucks, because N's just gone, which really sucks, because that's where that's where free space is. But, yeah, overall I feel pretty confident in this board, mostly just hoping and praying for Vanilla Lake 1, because if we can get Vanilla Lake 1, then the I column is essentially secured. And if you're curious about what my actual selection for this board would look like, here you go. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Be sure to check out the link in the pinned comment to participate in the next video covering Mario Kart 7's retro tracks. And I've got a pretty fun project in the works for September. Until then, like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see y'all next time. Did you hear that? They're after me. I gotta get out of here.